What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with my hands-on and first impressions video of the Motorola Edge 2025. So without further ado, let's get started. So this is the new Motorola Edge 2025. Now, as the name of the phone does imply, this phone is the successor to last year's Motorola Edge 2024, and stay tuned for a future video as we'll be comparing this phone to that phone, and there actually are quite a few differences and improvements with this generation. Now, I do have a lot of confidence in the Motorola Edge 2025 being very successful, considering that the previous models of the Motorola Edge have also done really well, and especially at the various carriers. Now, at the prepaid carriers, the Motorola Edge previously has even been offered for free, and especially if you're switching from one carrier to the other. So this is not just some random phone being released by Motorola. It's certainly a core part of their strategy, and for a really good reason. We're actually getting a very capable mid-range smartphone here with this device, and it definitely builds upon Motorola's reputation of providing a lot of value. Now, before we get too far into things here with the phone, let's see what all comes included in the box. And here is the box. Definitely like that cool rainbow look here on the Edge branding, and you can see it is indeed 2025. But included here is a quick start guide. We're also getting a double-sided USB-C cable for charging and data transfer. And then finally, we are getting a SIM card removal tool. Now, there is no USB wall adapter included, and keep in mind that this phone is actually capable of charging at up to 68 watts. So if you do want to actually recharge this phone at that rapid pace, which I definitely recommend doing, you're definitely going to want to get a wall adapter that does support that. Now, this is a cable that does allow for that, so at least with the cable, you're halfway there. Now, with the Motorola Edge 2025, we're getting a very large 6.7-inch display. This is an excellent looking display, and it does feature Corning Gorilla Glass 7i, so that makes it extra durable, so you don't have to necessarily worry if you happen to drop the phone on the ground. Now, obviously don't do that on purpose, but the point is that it definitely is a lot more durable than what you'd expect from an affordable smartphone. Now, one of the things that is a little bit new is that the curved display is even more curved than previously. So you can definitely tell it's curved this time around. Now, last year with the 2024 model of the phone, it was kind of more of a slight curve, but this time around you can certainly feel the curve there. So if that is something that you don't necessarily want with a smartphone, that could be a deal breaker here for you with the Motorola Edge. Also, keep in mind that if you do decide to buy a screen protector for this device, you are going to have to make sure that it does actually support the curved edge, because that could be a bit of a problem. But on the other hand, I can't really imagine who's selling a screen protector for this device that doesn't actually fit the screen that's on it. Now, the benefit of this curved display, though, is that it does make the display look even more immersive, and it makes the bezels appear to be even smaller. And on that note, this phone actually has a 92% screen-to-body ratio, so super small bezels all throughout. That's definitely very impressive. Now, when it comes to the actual display technology that we're getting here, this phone does feature a POLED display, so we're getting very bright and vibrant colors here with this phone. It looks excellent. Now, this display is 120 Hz, so a nice fast refresh rate here with the device as well. The display itself is 1080p, but everything does look very sharp here, so I'm certainly happy about that. We're getting a PPI of 440, we're getting a 20:9 aspect ratio, and then like I mentioned, we're getting a 90% screen-to-body ratio, so super small bezels here with the device. Now up top here, we are getting a 50 megapixel front-facing camera, and definitely stay tuned for my full review of this device, as I'll be showing you a bunch of different photo and video samples from all the various cameras here on the phone. But seeing that there have been a lot of improvements this generation related to the cameras, I'm certainly very confident about that. Now, internally here with this device, we're getting 256 gigabytes of storage, but there is no microSD card expansion. Now, 256 gigs is actually very impressive. In fact, the new Pixel 10 Pro, which is way more expensive and supposed to be way higher end than this device, actually only starts with 128 gigabytes. So the fact that this phone is meant to be a mid-ranger, but we're getting that much internal space, is super impressive. So I don't necessarily think it's that big of a deal that there is no microSD card, especially since the phone actually comes with so much storage here. Another nice surprise with this device is that we are getting wireless charging, and the wireless charging is at 15 watts, which is decently fast. Also keep in mind too that if you can buy a case that has magnetic charging compatibility, then technically you could use any MagSafe charger here with the phone. So that is certainly something that I do recommend looking into, especially if you think you're going to be using this phone for the long term. Now with this device, we are getting an in-display fingerprint sensor, so that's nice and fast and responsive. Let's try that one more time. So you can see there, it's a total breeze with how well it works. And then up top here, we are getting face unlock as well for that front-facing camera. Now taking a look at the cameras on the back of the device. This time around, we've actually gained an additional camera compared to last year. So we're getting a 50 megapixel main camera, a 50 megapixel ultra wide angle camera that can capture images at up to 122 degrees, but then new this year is a 10 megapixel 3x telephoto camera. So that is really awesome to see that we're getting a real telephoto camera, and it is cool too that it is 3x, which is definitely very decent. Now here's how things look with the main camera here on the device. Then from there, I can go over to 0.5 to access that ultra wide camera, and then I can go over to 3 to access that 3x telephoto. So you can see it's a really nice crisp zoom there because it's actually using a real zoom lens, which is fantastic. Now there is still an icon for macro mode, but macro is really just using the ultra wide camera to get close up here. In many situations, I actually feel like the telephoto camera does a better job than the macro mode would. So it's certainly something that you might want to play around with a little bit if you do end up getting this device. But I'm just so glad that there are so many options when it comes to the various cameras here on the phone. We can also go over to portrait mode to take portrait images. There's a lot of different modes here too. So there's 24mm, 35mm, 50mm, and then 85mm. And that's taking advantage of the various different cameras here on the phone. So lots of options there. There's a Pro mode as well, so all the various Pro features you'd expect. Under the More tab, there's even more options here too. And then if we want to go over to the front-facing camera, there's me right there. We have an option for a group selfie, so it crops out slightly. And then of course, in addition to portrait mode, there's also the standard photo mode available too for the front-facing camera. And then video recording with this device does max out at 4K for both the front and rear cameras, which is really awesome. Now internally here with this device, we're still getting 8GB of RAM, but this time around, we're actually getting the MediaTek Dimensity 7400 Ultra processor. So we had Snapdragon last year, but then this year we have MediaTek. Now I did run a benchmark test using Geekbench 6, and here are the scores that I got from that test. So I got a single core score of 1076 and a multi-core score of 3006. So what I recommend doing is running this test on your current phone and then compare your scores to these scores to see how the Motorola Edge 2025 compares to what you currently have. But so far, I'm actually pretty happy with the performance. The phone wasn't hot or anything when I was setting it up. Now this is of course my first impression video, so I need to spend a lot more time with this device to really get a feel for it, but so far so good. Another nice thing too this year is that we're getting a larger battery compared to the predecessor at 5200 milliamp hours. And then like I mentioned earlier in the video, this phone is compatible with up to 68 watt fast charging. So not only are we getting a very large battery here with the device, but it's also very fast to recharge, which is fantastic. Now the software here is Android 15 right out of the box. There are a lot of AI features built into the phone, and I will be covering that more in a future video. So Motorola has definitely made that clear when setting up the phone to check out all the various AI tips and tricks that are available here, so I'm really excited for that. And then with this device, we're getting NFC, so you can use the phone for tap and pay. We are getting stereo speakers with Dolby Atmos. We're getting a vegan leather material on the back of the phone, and then the sides of the phone feature an aluminum frame. But taking a closer look at the hardware here of the device, on the left side of the phone we have a dedicated side key, and this is fully customizable. You can access a lot of different functions on the phone just with that button right there. We also have a microphone. Up top is another microphone, so that's great for really high quality audio recordings. On the right side of the phone we have volume up, volume down, and the power button. And then on the bottom of the phone we have the SIM card slot, another microphone, USB-C port for charging and data transfer, and then we have the main speaker. And then on the back of the phone, we have that triple camera setup, we have the flash, Motorola logo, and that's pretty much it. Now, this vegan leather material has been carried over from previous generations of this device, and is certainly a good decision in my opinion. It's been holding up really nice, at least with the predecessor, so I'm expecting that here as well with the Motorola Edge 2025. I also like too that it doesn't pick up any fingerprints, so overall it's just a good material that they chose. But this concludes my hands-on and first impressions video of the Motorola Edge 2025. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, definitely give it a thumbs up. But this is Kevin here, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and have a great rest of your day.